This is the worst. You are the worst. I hate looking at your face. I want to smash it. You have any idea how angry that is making me?
Tell me.
Yes, I will. Be careful what you wish for. Thank you, Doctor. Take 2 of these and call me in the morning.
Alright guys, welcome back to another Destiny 2 build video. Today we're looking at the Arc Warlock. And the reason we're doing that is because I pretty much just play Titan and Hunter, and the reason for that is because I can play aggressively. The Warlock class does not necessarily allow you to be incredibly aggressive. Most of its most powerful exotics would allow you to suspend targets or put them on fire or whatever from a distance, and I just felt like I want to do something different. Something for the aggro player, the player that likes to get in, the midst of things and do damage and stare the enemy in the face. That's what this build is all about. And it all revolves around the Vesper of Radius. That, combined with the Brigand's Law, is going to change the way you play this build. And the reason for that is you do not necessarily just rely on one specific element or one specific ability that you have, either melee or grenade or your class ability, but a combination of all of them. So for those of you guys that are not interested in what I have to say, let me just put up the build here. We're running obviously Stormcaller. I'm just going to scroll down here and you can just copy it if you want to give it a go. But you can really just play this any way you want. I've currently changed this up a bit. I'll explain that a bit later, but the Brigand's Law is the key element of this build. I think to start off with the aspects, the abilities, and the fragments, I'm playing Healing Rift because you're already a bit low on survivability. Play whatever you want here, and I'm running Ball Lightning. And the reason I'm running this, which has a higher cooldown than Chain Lightning, is because of what the exotic piece does. It pretty much creates a blast when you cast your class ability surrounding you, which pushes enemies away, which makes it difficult to sometimes reach them with Chain Lightning. This, however, Ball of Lightning, is kind of perfect for this because it allows you to attack from range. Running Pulse Grenade because I just still think it's the best, and combined with the fragments that we're going to talk about now, just does a really good job creating ionic traces. Now, we've got Electrostatic Mind and Arc Soul. Both of these are our aspects. We won't run a Lightning Surge, which you can run, but we will discuss that a bit later at the end. In terms of fragments, 2 of them are key. Spark of Shock, Spark of Ions, because you want to create Jolt, and you want to defeat them so you can create ionic traces. Now you also get that from Electrostatic Mind, so you might think that you're doubling up on this, and I've tested it. It does seem like by doubling up you get more ionic traces and my abilities come back way sooner. Very important. Spark of Resistance. While surrounded by combatants, you are more resistant to incoming damage. That is key because the point of this build is running around, getting to the middle of the battle, and then casting your class ability and doing damage that way as a starting point. Secondly, Spark of Instinct. This is new. While you're critically wounded, taking damage, it's a burst of damaging arc enemies that jolts targets. Defeating jolted targets, of course, gives you ionic traces. So, whilst you are running, you are effectively running towards danger. When you get critically wounded, it creates this kind of like, you know, burst that pushes them away the same way your class ability will, and gives you time to put down your class ability. It just works really well in terms of the synergy. Let's talk about the Vesper of Radius. Now this, when you cast your Rift, you actually get an arc shockwave around you, and that damages enemies a lot and kills, you know, pretty much weak adds as well all the time. What's great about it is if you are surrounded by enemies, this charges incredibly fast. So you don't necessarily need a very high recovery stat. Hence the reason why we're speccing into resilience and discipline. This comes back so quickly. Now for the interesting part, the Brigand's Law. On the clip you'll see now, you get your melee charge back so quickly because of Pugilist and Vault Shot. If you just have Pugilist, you have to get multiple kills, around 4 kills, just to get a decent chunk of melee energy back. But with Vault Shot, you kill one enemy, you reload, you hit Vault Shot. You not only create ionic traces, but you also proc more Pugilist. So your ability comes back ridiculously quickly, and it's perfect for what we're doing with this build. At the top, you can run whatever you want. I'm running Pardon Your Dust because I've got an auto-loading and Pugilist on there. But you can, if you want to go for unstops, you can run, you know, any kind of scout rifle you want. I've played around with the Jade Rabbit. You can also run Outbreak Perfected, but you will be doubling up on shields there. And I like running Thunderlord because it allows me to take on longer range targets, but it also does a lot of damage, you know, to fatties as well. An alternative to this would also be you can run the Wendigo. I've got Explosive Light and auto-loading holster. With how many orbs you're going to create, this is going to be constantly overpowered. So if you slot that in, for example, you can then go ahead and put something at the top of your liking, either the Witherhoard or whatever you want to play. But I kind of like this combination for the way that I'm playing. Now, as you would have seen in the intro clip, you know, Arc Warlocks are pretty upset because there's nothing in there for them, and that is the case. You're not capitalizing on anything in here apart from, you know, facing champions and having some discounted mods, maybe breaking shield as well, but that's pretty much it. There's not a lot going on here. Now let's start with the build, and I think the best way to explain that is this way. Now, as we know, the whole build revolves around running into damage or running into, you know, danger, popping down your class ability, and you want to make sure that you constantly have orbs available to refresh that. So that's why we're running stacks on stacks and charged up on both of these. We also have firepower, 2 of those, because you will be creating orbs of power all the time, and we have 100 discipline stack, so that works really well, combined with what you have here on assets to assets, which creates massive super energy. Of course, Arc Siphon, because that's what the Brigand's Law is. And we've got a grenade kickstart just to capitalize on the 4 that we're creating, orbs that we're creating every time we pick up 2 orbs automatically because of that. We've got Arc Reserves for obvious reasons. And of course, we are running Innovation because we want to have our grenade cooldown as quickly as possible so that we can create more ionic traces and get more melee ability back. I would highly recommend you run Recuperation, even if you've got 100 resilience, even if you have great recovery and great discipline, it doesn't matter. The reason for that is if you go into areas and you're creating so many orbs, you're effectively just picking up health as you go, which feeds into cooling down, you know, your grenade, which feeds into charging your super. And ultimately that's kind of what you want to do. The super isn't incredibly important, but it does help in the end. And finally, here on the class item, we've got 2 bombers because we will be casting our Rift quite often. The refresh rate is already quick as we run into danger, but we would like, given that we have 4, you know, orbs because of this, 1 can be used by grenade kickstart. We also want to capitalize on that for having utility kickstart available as soon as possible, given our low recovery rate already. But like I said, combining that with the exotic piece makes a massive difference. So you'll constantly have your grenade up because of your specs. You'll constantly have your class ability up because of your exotic, and you'll constantly have your melee up because of your Brigand's Law, which has Pugilist and Vault Shot on there. I've tested the build in Legendary Lost Sectors. It works well there. Nightfalls works well. you know, any kind of content that you would like to do, as long as you don't play like an idiot. Of course, you are not invincible, but you have a lot of resistance and you can play very aggressively. That's the way I like to play, and here we are. Now, for the final piece, if you do want to change something out, if you want to make it even more, let's just say, more dynamic, the build, you can always go for exchange electrostatic mind for lightning surge, because that would help you to capitalize even more on your melee ability that you will be generating every time. And the reason for that is you're already creating arc traces or ionic traces because of these two fragments, so you wouldn't necessarily need this. But you know, having played this for a while, it does seem like I get my abilities back much faster playing it with this build. Not that, but it is incredibly fun. So guys, there you have it. That's the Arc Warlock build for aggro players. If you are an aggro player, let me know down in the comments section below how you would play this, how you would change this. Yeah, any other Arc builds that you think is aggressive in nature enough to compete. I appreciate your support. Thanks for tuning in. If you're new to the channel, feel free to stick around. As always, take care of yourselves. See you guys in the next one. Cheers.